Hello, AutoHotkey people! Today we're going to be doing another LibreOffice video. If you haven't watched my other one, that one's more kind of an Excel knockoff version. This one's going to be Word. If you don't know what Libre is, it's just a free version of Microsoft Office, basically. It's pretty powerful. I mean, for being free, it's amazing. It still has continuing support constantly. Lots of developers out there constantly creating their add-ons and stuff that you can use at any time that you want. It's really cool. So we're going to be using COM objects today. And yeah, I want to give a shout out to Captain Odin here. He kind of wrote this stuff. I made a few little changes and stuff for this video, but for the most part, this is his script. So he put a lot of great effort in here, very well commented and everything. Obviously, I'll have a link in the description below with this. And yeah. So in this one, we're going to be using F1 as our hotkey. Change it to whatever you want, obviously. In the last video, I didn't use a hotkey. So this one I am, just, if you want to see what the difference really is. I mean, it's just you triggering it versus double tapping the script whenever you want. So yeah, so we're going to do an object create, COM object create, sorry. And this is kind of the path here. Obviously, a lot of this beginning code right here, you're not going to change. You're going to need this at the beginning of all your scripts. Or at least whatever hotkey you're going to be using for it. Just have that there. You can obviously, get rid of these spaces, get rid of this commenting if you want, and just have it kind of one little area. I have it spread out just because I'm doing the video. It looks a little better. So we're doing, the create an instance here. So we're creating the Office, the desktop, basically. And we're going to open a new Writer document. And once again, don't really need to change that. Here's kind of some settings here. I mean, I wouldn't really change it. I don't see any need. It opens just fine. Create a text object. So we're doing that. We're doing create a cursor object, inserting some text. So basically from here, line 23 and up, you're not going to really mess with. Just make sure it's in your code before you start, inserting text and stuff. So for inserting text, we're just doing object text, insert string, and then parentheses, object cursor, and then what the text we want. So we're just doing the first line in the newly created text document, and then we're doing a line break, which is just that little slash with the N. I want to say that's called a tilde. I can't remember if tilde is that or the squiggly or whatever. Let me know what is correct in the comments below. So yeah, just in between the parentheses there, just put whatever text you want. Then we're going to insert a second line, because up here, as you saw, we did a line break, so we're already targeting that second line. Obviously, if I wanted it to be like a fifth line or something, or a third line, I would just, do something like this. If I can copy it correctly, there we go. That would do 2 line breaks, and this would be the third line instead. But we're just going to do the second line. So just put out how many line breaks you want in there before you do the next one. So we're doing the exact same thing we did up above, but say now we're on the second line. So it's the exact same thing. I'm just showing you a line break, really. Create a instance of text table with 4 columns and 4 rows. So we're just creating a table, and we're going to insert some text into there. So we want to do a 4x4 thing there. So we're doing basically all the same stuff, but we're doing create instance, and we're going to be targeting the text table. So once again, don't really need to change this line. All you got to really change is these numbers here. How many columns do you want? And then how many rows do you want? So if you want 6, just put 6 in there. So we'll just stick with 4x4, keep it simple. And then we actually want to insert the table. So we're just doing insert text object table false. False just means we're not really going to see what's going on. So we want to get the first row. So we're going to say get all the rows from there. Get by index 0 because, in coding, you're starting at the number 0 versus 1. And then we're going to change the background color. So really all you're really going to be changing is the number here. I'm sure there's a website out there for this. I haven't actually looked. I kind of just put a random number in there. If I find one, I'll put it in the description below, but we're doing back color for the text because that's what we're targeting. and then whatever number it is that you're going to want to use, I'll try to find that and see, because I'm not normally when you're doing stuff like this, you're using some type of like desk or hex number, but this is weird. So if you know the answer, let me know. If I don't find it in the description, hopefully you can find it, but I'll give it my best shot. So let's say we want to set a different color for the first row. So kind of like maybe like our title of each column that we want to do. So we're doing here background color. Once again, one of those weird numbers there. Hopefully I do find something on that. I'm just putting in random stuff. So yeah, maybe just play, and if you find the color, comment below saying, hey, if you want the color red, here's the number. That would be awesome. So if there's not one that exists, which I'm sure there is, maybe I'll create one. We'll find out. Fill the first table row. So here's where we're going to kind of be targeting each thing. So we're doing insert into cell A1, B1, C1, D1. And we're just going to, this is what you're actually going to call it. So whatever you want in that cell and object table. So we're basically just, for A1, we're going to say first column, B1, we're going to say second, third, and then D1, we're going to say the sum. So you can also use expressions, I guess you call them. So you can do stuff like that. Next, we're basically doing the exact same thing all the way down, but we're setting values this time versus text. So it's a little bit of a different layout, but pretty straightforward. Just, you know, what cell do you want to target, A2, B2, so on. And we're going to set the value to, you know, this number. So change that number to whatever you want to go in there. Obviously, if you're grabbing data from somewhere else and you don't want to have to change your code every time you want this to be different, an option right here could be something like an input box, or, you know, whatever's in your clipboard. And then down here, you just put the variable instead. And then we're going to do the sum of all that into D2. Same thing here, just a different, you know, column. Same thing here, just column 4. Don't really need to cover it. Nothing different really. Then we're going to add a shadow, which is just the character color 255. And that's just going to, you know, do that. You can also just do this one. I have it commented out where you just say true, and that's just going to add a basic shadow to it. Oh, scrolled up by accident. There we go. Create a paragraph break. So kind of like what we did up there where we're doing line breaks, but we're going to do an actual paragraph break. So really you're just doing this. Once again, no reason to really change this. It's pretty straightforward. Then we're going to insert colored text. So just changing the font color really. So insert string. This is colored text, so that's what we're actually saying is, you know, this is text blue with shadow in another line break. Yep, let's see. And that's just because up here we're messing around with the shades and color. Create a paragraph break. You know, we already explained that. Create a text frame. So a text frame is kind of like a table, but it's, you know, a 1 by 1. And it just has text in it. So we're just doing the objects, text frame, blah, 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 create instance, and then, you know, the text frame. That's what we're going to be targeting that we want. And this is going to actually create like the structure of it. So basically, you know, like height and width, as you see here, width and height. Don't really, you know, that's just the size. Don't really need to play with that. Here's where you're going to be playing around, is these numbers. So 15,000, 400, that might be way too small. Let's try 5,000. I think 400 would be like that big. So the text would probably be like a single letter going all the way down. So let's change that. Hopefully 5,000's plenty. Or not too much, hopefully. We'll see. As character 1, blah, 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 text frame, text property value, anchor type equals 1. I'll be honest, I don't know what anchor type means. I will have to look into that. If you know, let me know. I feel like I should know that, but I just can't recall what anchor type even means. But we're changing to the 1, so I'm guessing the answer is either 0 or 1, depending on what you want to do. If you set it to 1 and then want to get rid of whatever anchor type means, you'd probably just use 0, kind of like an on and off toggle. insert the frame. So now that we have our frame built, we're going to go ahead and boom, put it into the actual document. Nothing really to mess around with there. Create text cursor. So we're basically kind of going back to inserting text here. We talked about this line right here up above. Insert some text. So we're basically clicking in there and saying like, the first line in the newly created text frame. So we're creating the create text cursor is basically saying, switch back to text, but within that table or frame, sorry. Then we're going to do a line break here. So you don't always have to do them at the end. You can do them at the beginning. With the second line of height, frame rises. So right here, just put whatever you want. Use a variable, hard code it into your code. Whatever path you guys really know better than I would of what you're trying to do. Create a paragraph break. Already talked about that. Change character. We already talked about that. There's another one of those numbers that I just find very bizarre that they're doing it that way. But hey, there could be a reason. Obviously, I'm assuming there's a reason that I'm not quite thinking of. And then here we're just going to insert another string. So that's all for now. So just one more piece of text. Now down here is kind of where we're going to insert a cell. A lot of this you're not really going to be changing except for maybe the character color. Create global. So this is kind of like some functions that are being called. Don't mess with those, but they do need to be included in your code. And functions, you just usually throw them at the very end of your script because what it's doing is jumping down there, doing what it needs, and then jumping back to where it needs to be with whatever answer or action it was supposed to perform. So yeah, I do not have LibreOffice running. That's because this is going to automatically create it for me if it's not already running. So I'm just going to double click on that. Sit back for a few seconds. Pretty quick. So there it goes. It created it. Oh, right. I'm supposed to push F1 now. So now that it's opened it for me, let me repurpose this. I'm going to push F1. It's going to create that new text document for me. And as you saw, that was pretty fast. So let's scroll up here. So as you see, we got that first line. Then it did that line break. Now we're in the second line. Then it created my 4x4 table. As you saw, it inserted the titles that I wanted. It changed the background color. It inserted all my values here. And then did some blue colored text here. And then down here we had that table, which as you can see, I was right. It was going to be a weird size. So you just kind of got to play with those numbers to find out how big you actually want it. So I guess my number was way off. So it did what I thought it was going to do, where it's going to do almost one letter per line. It actually did less because you can see it's actually kind of outside the end of it. So even one letter, it didn't even fit. And then at the end, we just said that one last text. That's all for now. Alrighty, guys. If there's something else you want to see within the Writer program here within LibreOffice, definitely let me know below. I'm planning to do a video where I talk more about formulas in Excel, or the Excel knockoff, which is, what's that called again? I just closed it on myself. It's like cow spreadsheets. Okay, yeah. Let me know what you want to see. I'm also going to do a presentation one and anything else you guys can think of that hasn't really crossed my mind that might be a little bit more advanced than what I showed you. Definitely let me know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button, throwing 2-3 videos out to you guys every single week. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye.